All right, everyone, here we go. This is your last video, and it's everything you hate, but everything you always ask for. It's when am I going to use this in real life? And yes, word problems are some potential scenarios where we can tie these abstract concepts to some potentially in-life situations. So quick couple notes at the beginning. Remember with your law of cosines that you are solving largest angle for side, 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 smallest angle for side, angle, side. So here we go. To measure the length of a lake, baseline AB is measured 130 meters. Angles A and B are measured to 42 degrees and 125 degrees respectively, which means angle 42 goes with A and 125 goes with B. How long is the lake? So, okay, well, what does this look like, right? What are they actually asking me? So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this lake, okay? And they're asking for the length. So, from the furthest most point to the furthest most point. So, I'm going to be like, okay, well, there's the length of my lake. And this is point B, right? And we'll call this point C because the baseline is A, which means that your baseline is here. We will connect, okay? Now, what do we know? We know that AB is 130 meters, okay? And then we don't know C, we don't know B, and we don't know the length of the lake. That's what we're trying to find out. You know that this angle here is 125, and you know that this angle here is 42. So what do you need? You need A. You have an angle across from it. You don't have B, and you have an angle across from it. So if you wanted to use the sine law, you have a side here, but you need this angle. Okay, well, you can find angle C, because angle C is 180 degrees minus 125 degrees minus 42 degrees. So angle C is 13 degrees. After we have angle C, we can now use the sine law. I need A, so I'm going to put my sides on the top of my proportion. So A over sine 42 is equal to C, which is 130, over sine, and I just found it, 13. So we do our algebra. A equals 130 times sine of 42. We divide that whole thing by sine of 13. Plug that into your calculator, and you will get that the length of the lake is 86.7 meters across. Yay, sine law. Example 2. And here's where I'm going to talk to you briefly about direction. There are some notes. Obviously some notes that help explain it, but this here, north 60 east, right, means that you are going 60 degrees east of north. So from north, you're moving east. So here's what this drawing looks like, all right? Drawing this can be the hardest part. A ship is heading due east. So at the time, the bearing to the lighthouse, okay? So we have a ship heading east, which means we have a ship heading that way, okay? And then there's a lighthouse that is north 60 degrees east, which means it's east 60 degrees from north, which means if this is north, right, 60 degrees east of north in here. That's 60 degrees east of north, okay, is where the lighthouse is. So we'll call that L. After traveling 5 kilometers, the bearing is now north 40 east. So that means the ship has traveled from point A, the rock, to point B, and that's 5 kilometers. And the bearing now is 40 degrees. So draw a north perpendicular, and the bearing now is 40 degrees. east. So that's 40. That's 40 degrees. Okay? So you know that this is 40 degrees in here. You know that this in here is 60, which means that what is this? Well, if this is north and east, it's 90 degrees, so that means that this is going to be 30, right? So do we have enough information? What do we need to know? We need to know how far is the ship from the lighthouse? Right, well, where is the ship right now? The ship has gotten to here. So we need to know length A. We don't know length B, right? And we know that length L is 5 kilometers. So if we know this angle, we don't know angle B, but we know that that's 40 and that's 90. Okay, well, that means that angle A is equal to 30. Angle B then is 90 plus 40, so 130, which means that angle A is going to be 180 minus 160, so 20 degrees. So now, or sorry, angle L. So now we know that that's 20. And now you have an angle that corresponds with a side, and you have an angle that corresponds with the side you want. So again, I'm going to put my side lengths on the top. So A over sine A, which is 30, is equal to L, in this case 5, over sine L, which is 20. And I'm going to do my algebra here. 5 times sine 30 all over sine 20. Calculator that up, and A equals 7.3 kilometers. Again, make sure you are in degree mode on your calculator. Okay, so the distances can be a little finicky. Just think your compass, right? If you have a compass, north, east, south, and west, and you are moving east of north, it means you've moved this way. You've moved to the east from north. If you are moving west of north, you've gone that way, right? If you are moving, this would be like north of west, you've actually filled in here. Think about your line leaving this value, moving towards this value, okay? So just be careful with directions. All right, so the length of the sides of a parcel of land. So if you ever see people on the street with those land surveyor little things, they're surveying land. So let's say we had a parcel of land that was 300 by 400 by 600. So I'm going to try to draw this 300, make this a little bit longer, 400, and this is definitely the longest. So 600, 400, 300. I'm going to name these whatever I want, A, B, C. This is side, 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 so largest angle first. Which one is the largest angle? Well, since the side is longest, B is first. So I'm going to use cosine law. All right, so I want to know B, so B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC cos B. Now I know all these values, so 600 squared is equal to 300, or well, 400 squared plus 300 squared minus 2 times 400 times 300 cos B. So we work that through a little bit, and I'm going to let you do the math of that, but you can solve for angle B, and we get, well, no, you know what? Here, let's actually do this. I just don't have my calculator handy. So 600 squared is 360,000. And then 400 squared is 160,000 plus 90,000, which is 300 squared, minus 2 times 400 times 300, so minus 240,000 cos B. So now we add these two together and we subtract them from both sides. So 160,000 plus 90,000 is 250. Subtract 250,000 from 360 and you get 110,000 equals negative 240,000 cos B. Divide both sides by negative 240,000 and you get negative 0.4583 repeating. That equals cos B. So inverse cos, and we get that angle B is equal to, bear with me here for just a moment, grab my calculator. Angle B is equal to 117.3 degrees. So now we know angle B, but we need to know the area, right? So how do we get area? It's base times height. Now we don't know the height, but we do know the base is 600. So what we need is height, which means we need either angle A or angle C. Since we have angle B, we can solve for either one. I'm going to solve for angle C. So I'm going to use the sine law for that, because now that I know angle B, I'm going to say, okay, well, sine C over, or no, you know what, let's solve for A. Sine A over 400 is equal to sine of 117.3 over 600. Multiply both sides by 400 and use your inverse sine. You get that angle A is equal to 36.3 degrees. So now you have an angle, you have a side, and you have height. So we can use good old-fashioned right angle trig. Sine of 36.3 is equal to h over 300. Multiply both sides by 300, and you get your height. And your height comes out at 177.6. So this is 177.6. And how do you get the area of a triangle? Base times height divided by 2. So 177.6 times 600, all divided by 2, gives us the area of the triangle, which is, this plot of land is 53,327 meters squared. That's a big chunk of land. Okay, so a little bit of work to do there, and sorry for the delay on my lack of calculator. So we got one more to go. It's another lake type question. So to approximate the length of a lake, a surveyor triangulates the distance to one side to be 950, the other side to be 800. So what does that look like? Well, if you have your surveyor standing here and they say, okay, well, from my point here, that is 950, and from my point here, that is, looks a bit longer, so I'll just make sure this drawing is as accurate as possible. That is 800, and then this represents the lake, right? What other information do we have? The angle between the two measures is 100 degrees. So we need that. We're looking at a side angle side, so you'd be solving for your smaller angle first if you wanted the angles, but we don't care about that. All we want is D, and we have enough information here to use the cosine law. So I'm going to say, well, D squared is 950 squared plus 800 squared minus 2 times 950 times 800 cos 100 degrees. And you can multiply all that together, do all the work, you square root d, and you end up with d is equal to 1,344 meters. You've used the cosine law to determine the length of the lake, given two distances you know and an angle. That is the last lesson of your Pre-Cal 11 semester. So I hope this went well, and I look forward to the assignments to come. Take care, you guys.